All right, greetings. This is Tiffany French coming through here live in effect on the YouTube channel. So I'm restarting my video from what I did earlier. I had to take care of some important phone call, but I am going to do this video again, starting from the beginning, about Madam C.J. Walker and her daughter, Alayla Walker. And I want to talk a little bit about cosmology. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so, all right. So according to this, right, Madam C.J. Walker was an African-American entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and a political social activist, and was recorded as the first self-made millionaire in America in the Guinness Book of World Records. Multiple sources mention that although other women might have been the first, their wealth is not as well documented. Walker made her fortune by developing and marketing a line of cosmetic and hair care product for Black women through the business she founded, the Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company. She best known also for her philanthropy and activism. She made financial donations to numerous organizations and became a patron of the arts. Villa Loraro, Walker's lavish estate in Irvington, New York, served as a social gathering place for the African American community. At the time of her death, she was considered the wealthiest African American businesswoman and wealthiest self-made Black woman in America. Her name was a version of Mrs. Charles Joseph Walker after her third husband. So down here, she was born in Delta, Louisiana, and she became a orphanage at the age of 7. Okay, so she moved in with her sister and her brother-in-law. At the age of 10, worked as a domestic servant. And she put down that I had little or no opportunity when I started off in life, and having been left an orphan and being without mother or father since I was 7 years of age. She often recounted. She also recounted that she had only 3 months of formal education, which she learned during school, Sunday school literacy lesson at the church she attended during her earlier years. All right, so in 1882, at the age of 14, she married Moses McWilliams to escape abuse from her brother-in-law, Jesse Powell. Sarah and Moses had one daughter, Layla McWilliams, who was born on June the 6th of 1885 when Moses died in 1887. Sarah was 20, Layla was 2. Sarah remarried in 1894, but left her second husband, John Davis, around 1903. And in January of 1906, Sarah married Joseph Walker, a newspaper advertising salesman she had known in St. Louis, Missouri. Through this marriage, she became known as Madam C.J. Walker. The couple divorced in 1912. Charles died in 1926. Layla McWilliams adopted her stepfather's surname and became known as Alayla Walker. All right, so she made a career where she moved to St. Louis. Now, it also mentioned that she had found work as a laundress, earning barely more than $1 a day. She was determined to make enough money to provide for her daughter with formal education. And during the 1880s, she lived in a community where ragtime music was developed. She sang at St. Paul's African Methodist Episcopal Church and started to yearn for an educated life as she watched the community of women at her church. All right. So as was common among Black women of her era, Sarah suffered severe dandruff and other scalp ailments, including baldness due to skin disorder and the application of harsh products to cleanse her hair and wash clothes. Other contributing factors to her hair loss included poor diet, illness, and infrequent bathing and hair washing during a time when most Americans lacked indoor plumbing, central heating, and electricity. All right, so during Madam C.J. Walker's time period, right? So she was very poor. She came from a poor background, and not only she was poor, but also she worked at. She was an orphanage, and she worked as a domestic servant, and she could not withstand the abuse from her brother-in-law. So she left and got married at the age of 14. And when she got married, she had her daughter, her only child, and she ended up moving to St. Louis area to where she can find work. However, while she was working, but she also dealt with hair issues regarding to dandruff and regarding to hair loss and etc. So that was one of the reasons why she was motivated into getting into the business of going into cosmetic and hair products. All right. So, anyways, okay. Initially, Sarah learned about hair care from her brothers, who were barbers in St. Louis. Around the time of the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, she became a commission agent selling products for Annie Malone, an African American hair care entrepreneur, millionaire, and owner of Poro Company. Sales at Exposition were a disappointment since the African American community was largely ignored. All right, so that's our hair care product right here, and that's our facility, and this is her. All right, so it says in 1905. Wow, when she was 37 years old, Sarah and her daughter moved to Denver, Colorado, where she continued to sell products for Malone and develop her own hair care business. A controversy developed between Annie Malone and Sarah because Malone accused Sarah of stealing her formula, a mixture of petroleum jelly and sulfur that had been in use for 100 years. All right. And it says in 1906, Walker put her daughter in charge of the mail order operation in Denver while she and her husband traveled throughout the southern and eastern United States to expand the business. In 1908, Walker and her husband relocated to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where they opened a beauty parlor and established Layla College to train hair culturists. As an advocate of Black women's economic independence, she opened training programs and the Walker system for her national network of licensed sales agents who earn healthy commission. Okay. So I'm skipping down. It says in 1910, Walker relocated her business to Indianapolis, where she established a headquarters for Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company. She initially purchased a house and factory at 1640 Northwest Street. Walker later built a factory hair salon and beauty school to train her sales agents and add a laboratory to help with research. She also assembled a staff that included Freeman Ransom, Robert Lee Brokenberg, Alice Kelly, and Marjorie Joner, among others, to assist in managing the growing company. Many of her company's employees, including those in key management and staff positions, were women. All right. So it says that Walker's method of grooming was designed to promote hair growth and to condition the scalp through the use of her products. The system included a shampoo, a pomade stated to help hair grow, strenuous brushing, and applying iron combs to hair. The method claimed to make lackluster and brittle hair become soft and luxuriant. Walker's product line had several competitors. Similar products were produced in Europe and manufactured by other companies in the United States, which include her major rivals, Annie Turnbull Malone's Poro system, from which she derived her original formula, and later Sarah Spencer Washington's Apex system. All right, so let's go down to her activism. All right, so her activism and philanthropy. As Walker's wealth and notoriety increased, she became more vocal about her views. In 1912, Walker addresses an annual gathering of National Negro Business League from the convention floor, where she declared, "I am a woman who came from the cotton fields of the South. From there, I was promoted to wash tub. From there, I was promoted to the cook kitchen. And from there, I promoted myself into a business of manufacturing hair goods and preparation. I have built my own factory on my own ground." The following year, she addressed convention goers from the podium as a keynote speaker. And it says she helped raise funds to establish a branch of YMCA in Indianapolis Black community, pledging $1,000 to the building fund for Senate Avenue YMCA. Walker also contributed scholarship funds to Tuskegee Institute. Other beneficiaries, including Indianapolis Flanner House and Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church. Mary McLeod Bethune's Daytona Education and Industrial School for Negro Girls later became Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida, the Palmer Memorial Institute in North Carolina, and Haynes Normal and Industrial Institute in Georgia. Walker was also a patron of the arts. Okay. So it talk about Walker's daughter. It goes in talk about Walker's daughter. So we're gonna go into that information about her. But anyways, it also said profits from her businesses significantly impacted Walker's contribution to her political and philanthropic interests. In the 1918, the National Association of Colored Women's Club honored Walker for making the largest individual contribution to help preserve Frederick Douglass Anacostia House. Before her death in 1919, Walker pledged $5,000, the equivalent of about $77,700 in 2019, to the NAACP's anti-lynch funding. At the time, it was the largest gift from an individual that the NAACP ever received. Walker bequeathed nearly $100,000 to an orphanage, institution, and individuals. Her will directed 2/3 of her future net profits of her estate to charity. Okay. So down here it says she passed away on May 25th, 1919 from kidney failure and complication of hypertension at the age of 51. Walker's remains are interred in Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx, New York City. So this is her gravesite right here. That's her gravesite. And obviously her daughter is buried right next to her. Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and let me get started on. Hey, peace, brother. Peace, 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 peace. So let me go ahead and get started on the story about Alayla Walker. So Alayla Walker, who is she? So Alayla Walker was an African-American businesswoman and a patriot of the arts. She was the only surviving child of Madam C.J. Walker, popularly credited as being the first self-made female millionaire in the United States and one of the first African-American millionaires. So she was born in Vicksburg, Mississippi on June the 6th of 1885. And her father died when she was 2 years old. She moved with her mother to St. Louis, Missouri to live with her mother's 3 brothers. Her mother married John Davis in 1894. So Alayla grew up in St. Louis and attended Knoxville College in Tennessee before entering the family business, having taken the Walker's name. So Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company. So that's when she took over company. So Alayla Walker ran the East Coast operation of her mother's company. Her mother purchased two brownstones in New York City at 108 to 110 West 136th Street near Linus Avenue in Harlem, and combined them together. The first floor housed the Walker Hair Parlor, and the second, the Layla College of Beauty Culture, where new cosmetologists were trained to work in the company's shop. Layla lived and entertained in the top three floors. She became the president of the company in 1919 upon her mother's death, and remained in that position until her own death in August of 1931. She initiated a number of marketing campaigns to promote the company, including a competition among prominent ministers for a trip to the Holy Land in 1924, and remained the face of the Walker Company, but day-to-day operation were overseen by attorney F.B. Ransom and factory manager Alice Kelly at the Indianapolis headquarters. During the 1920s, Layla Walker immersed herself in Harlem's dynamic social life as a patron of the arts and hostess of some of the era's most notable social gatherings. So Walker Company sale began to suffer in 1929 with the beginning of the Great Depression. A new $1 million headquarters and manufacturing facility opened in the late 1927 in Indianapolis, placed additional expenses and financial pressure on the operation, and she was forced to sell a great deal of valuable art and antiques. Her adopted daughter, May Walker, became company president from 1931 until her death in 1945. In a fourth generation succession, May's daughter, Alea May Perry Bundles, who was born in 1928 and died in 1976, succeeded her mother at the head of the company. Today, the company's building is known as the Madam Walker Theater Center, and is a National Historic Landmark. All right, so before I continue, in Atlanta, we also have a Madam C.J. Walker's Hair Museum. So as a matter of fact, I can show a picture. All right, so right here, this is the Madam C.J. Walker hair salon, and also the museum that's located in Atlanta, which is located in the Auburn Avenue area in Atlanta. So that's her hair salon, and that's her museum right there. Okay. All right, so going back to the article about Alayla Walker. So Alayla Walker took over her mother's business, and also she had a social life. So now, if anybody know about the time in the Harlem Renaissance, it wasn't just about the talented teens and all, but it's also dealing with the social life of the African Americans as well during the time period of the 30s and the 40s. They was like, into the rag times, and Of course, you had a lot of jazz musician. And then this was during the time, I believe, of Prohibition era, where they were bootlegging liquors and things of that nature. So it was a lot. So Harlem Riverside was like the black Mecca at the time for African Americans from the South. So they would go to not only Harlem just to be able to build some type of entrepreneurship, and not only to do philanthropy work, but they was also able to do they was able to network and connect with other people from the area that was also from the South. So it was a place where African Americans had a lot of social gatherings and a lot of business and a lot of nightlife. So, and that was the case with Alayla Walker. So right here where it says patronage, Alayla Walker counted among her friends many accomplished African American musicians. She developed an early love of classical music and opera, in part because the choir director at the AME church she and her mother attended in St. Louis was a classically trained opera singer and organist. She grew up in a neighborhood where Scott Joplin and other ragtime musicians gathered at Tom Turpin's Rosebud Cafe on St. Louis Market Street. Okay. So it says during the 1920s, she hosts many musicians, actors, writers, artists, political figures, and socialities in her Manhattan townhouse. The elegant brick and limestone building had been designed by Vernon Taney, a founder of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity and the first black architect licensed in New York State. Also, from the time of her arrival in Harlem in 1913, her dinner parties, dances, and soirees included well-known Harlem figures like James Reese Europe, J. Rosman Johnson, Bert Williams, and Florence Mills, as well as members of the Harlem Renaissance such as Langston Hughes, Countee Cullen, and Carl Van Benchen. Live music from classical and ragtime to jazz and blues was a regular feature with entertainment provided by her musician friends, according to NPR. They provided a safe, welcoming environment for queer people at a time when there were few other social options available. While she herself was not known to be lesbian or bisexual, Walker's parties were places where anyone could express their sexuality however they pleased. So Mabel Hampton, the lesbian activist, attended some of Walker's party, which would sometimes last for several days, with some party girls naked or openly having sex. Yes, she was living that wild life. In October of 1927, she converted a floor of the home into the Dark Tower, a cultural salon that became legendary as one of the gathering places of the era, a place where Harlem's talented artists socialized with their Greenwich Village counterparts as well as European and African royalty. She commissioned Austrian designer Paul Frankel to create the interior. She also entertained at her pied a terre at 80 Edgecombe Avenue in Harlem and at Villa Loraro, her country house in Irvington, New York, and Westchester County, a $20,000 square feet Italianate mansion, which she had built for her mother in 1916 to 1918, again designed by Tandy. Villa Loraro was named for Walker, Layla Walker Robinson, after Italian tenor Enrico Caruso told her after a visit to the property that the newly built Irvington on Hudson mansion reminded him of the houses of his native country. So Walker also founded the Harlem Dubantes Club. She supported local missionary work among Baptist women in New York City. She attended a Baptist church and served on various committees, occasionally speaking for women's days and professional events. So now here's her personal life. She was married 3 times to John Robinson, a hotel waiter, from whom she separated about 1911 and divorced in 1914, to Dr. Willie Wilson in 1919, and to Dr. James Arthur Kennedy in 1929, whom she divorced just a few months before her death in 1931. All right. So it says in 1920s, Walker spent 4 months traveling throughout Europe and elsewhere, visiting Paris, Nice, Monte Carlo, Naples, Rome, Cairo, Jerusalem, Djibouti, Addis Ababa, and London. In Paris, she spent time with dancer Josephine Baker, courtier Paul Poiret, actress Mystique, and actor Dooley Wilson. She also visited Zududu, Zuditu. Yeah, she also visited Zuditu, the Empress of Ethiopia, while on her way to Addis Ababa. So her adoptive daughter, Fairy Mae Bryant, was born in November of 1898 and was adopted in 1912. She was known as Mae Walker and traveled with Madam C.J. Walker as a model and assistant. In November 1923, Alayla Walker orchestrated and elaborated $1 million wedding, actually closer to $40,000, for Mae's marriage to Dr. Gordon Jackson. Mae, a graduate of Spelman Seminary in Atlanta, divorced Jackson in 1926 and married attorney Marion R. Perry in September of 1927. When Walker died in 1931, Mae took over the company until her death in 1945, when she was succeeded by her daughter Alayla Mae Perry Bundles. So it said that she died on August the 17th of 1931 from cerebral hemorrhage brought by hypertension, the same ailment that led to her mother's death in 1919. She was surrounded by friends who traveled to Long Branch, New Jersey to celebrate a birthday party with lobster and champagne in the midst of the Great Depression and Prohibition. Thousands of Harlemites lined up to view her body. She was eulogized by Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Sr. at the funeral parlor on 7th Avenue. Mary McLeod Bethune, the civil rights activist, also spoke at the funeral as her casket was lowered into the ground next to her mother's grave at Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx. Herbert Julian, the celebrated Black Eagle, flew over in a small plane and dropped the Hollis and Gadoloses onto the site. Langston Hughes called her death the end of the gay times of the New Negro era in Harlem. He later wrote in his book, The Big C, that fitly the funeral resembled a big party, with hundreds of friends outside waving their white engraved invitation aloft in the vain hope of entering. Sterling Houston and Larry Neal wrote Alayla in a musical about Walker. So, and it says actress Tiffany Haddish portrayed Walker in the Netflix miniseries Self-Made, inspired by the life of Madam C.J. Walker, which premiered on March 20th, 2020. All right, so that's the story about Alayla Walker and Madam C.J. Walker. Okay. All right, so there was a book written by her great granddaughter, I believe, Madam C.J. Walker, great granddaughter. She wrote a book called On Her Own Ground, the Life and Times of Madam C.J. Walker. So I had some information highlighted. But anyways, this is the title of the book. It's called On Her Own Ground, The Life and Times of Madam C.J. Walker, Alayla Bundles. Okay, and this was written in 2001. So if you guys want to look at that information, you can. You can check out more information. You can go and look it up on Amazon. You can not only look on Amazon, but you can also look it up on the at Barnes and Nobles, and you can also get the ebook. Okay, so the name of it is "On Her Own Ground: The Life and Times of Madam C.J. Walker" by Alayla Bundles. All right, so I'm just gonna stop right there. Now, what I want to do is all right. So what I want to do is also talk a little bit about the history of cosmetic. So as I mentioned earlier, before I had to take care of a situation, that cosmetic is a form of science. Cosmetology is the study of cosmetic, because what you're dealing with when it comes to cosmetic is art and beauty. It's art and science. So you're dealing with the science of how to go about bringing the beautification, right, and have a strong, healthy skin. If you want to say this, cosmetic will be like under dermatology in a sense, because you're dealing with skincare, you're also dealing with hair care, and yeah, you're dealing with beauty and all of that. So all of that, cosmetology will be like some form of dermatology, because it's regarding to hair care and skincare. And now I want to get into like the earliest form of cosmetic. So I won't spend too much time on it, but just want to get into that real quick. So according to this information here, right? Cosmetic. So what is cosmetic first and foremost? Cosmetic are constituted from a mixture of chemical compounds derived from either natural sources or synthetically created ones. Cosmetic designed for skincare can be used to cleanse, exfoliate, and protect the skin, as well as replenishing it through the use of cleansers, toners, serums, moisturizer, and balms. Cosmetic designs for more general personal care, such as shampoo and body wash, can be used to cleanse the body. Cosmetic designed to enhance one's appearance can be used to conceal blemishes, enhance one's natural features, okay, such as the eyebrows and eyelashes, add color to a person's face, and in the case of more extreme forms of makeup used for performances, fashion shows, and people in costume, can be used to change the appearance of the face entirely to resemble a different person, creature, or object. Cosmetic can be also be designed to add fragrance to the body. All right. So let's go to the etymology. As you can see, that's a picture of Queen Nefertiti. Now, the etymology of the word cosmetic derived from the Greek kosmeki, means technique of dress and ornament, from skilled in ordering or arrangement, and that from cosmo, meaning order or ornament. All right, so here's the history. So cosmetics have been in use for thousands of years. The absence of regulation of the manufacture and use of cosmetics, as well as the absence of scientific knowledge regarding the effects of various compounds on the human body for much of this time period, led historically to a number of negative adverse effects upon those who use cosmetics, including deformities, blindness, and some cases death. Example of the prevalent usage of harmful cosmetics include the use of ceruse, white led throughout a number of different cultures, such as during the Renaissance in the West, and blindness caused by the mascara lash learned during the early 20th century. One of the earliest cultures to use cosmetic was ancient Egypt, where both Egyptian men and women used makeup to enhance their appearance. The use of black kohl eyeliner and eyeshadows in dark colors such as blue, red, and black was common and was commonly recorded and represented in the Egyptian art, as well as being seen in Egyptian hieroglyphs. Ancient Egyptian also extracted red dye from fucus, was it fucus algin, 0.1%, and iodine, and some bromine midnight, but this dye resulted in serious illness. Lipsticks with shimmering effects were initially made using a pearlescent substance found in fish scale, which are still used extensively today. Despite the hazardous nature of some Egyptian cosmetics, ancient Egyptian makeup was also thought to have antibacterial properties that help prevent infections. Okay. Ancient Sumerian men and women also wore makeup, being possibly the first culture to invent and wear lipstick roughly 5,000 years ago by crushing gemstones and decorating the face with them, mainly on the lips as well as the eyes. The ancient Indus Valley civilization also utilized makeup, with women applying red tinted lipstick to their lips for decoration. Other cultures to use cosmetics include the ancient Greeks and the Romans. Cosmetics are also mentioned in the Old Testament, such as 2 Kings 9:30, where the biblical the biblical figure Jezebel's planted her eyelids approximately 840 BC. Cosmetics are also mentioned in the book of Esther, where beauty treatments are described. All right, so according to one source, early major developments in cosmetics included kohl used by ancient Egyptian, castor oil also used in ancient Egyptian as a protective balm, and skin creams made of beeswax, olive oil, and rose water described by the Romans, Vaseline, and lanolin in the 19th century. All right. So just to top it off, so yes, cosmetic been used for a long period of time and has been around for a long time. So again, it's a form of art and science that is basically used to a way to enhance the beauty and bring about skincare and bring about hair care too. So cosmetic would be applied under dermatology. All right, except that with dermatology, there's no makeup, but dermatology deals with skincare. All right, so those who study cosmetology, they study cosmetics. So they're studying the science and the application of cosmetic. That's what they're studying. Okay. So anyways, that's all I have for today. And I appreciate you guys that has been supporting my channel. So I apologize. I had to redo this video. Again, I had a situation I had to take care of. So hopefully I'll catch you guys later. And if you guys want to watch the video from the very beginning, please do so. And also make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, share this video. And until next time, I will come back with you guys with another subject and another topic. So peace and power elevation be to all you. This your girl Tiffany, and I'm logging off, and deuces. All right.